Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and welcome to everyone. Our honorable lecturer, Mr. Aas, honorable speaker, Mr. Ahmad Zulfadli, Ms. Ida Mulyani, and all your participants. Okay, I would like to begin to thank one of you for joining us today for this important forum. We are gathered here to discuss topic that has become crucial in our fight against climate change and in shaping a sustainable future. There is the decarbonization of energy in transportation sector of the KSN Maminasata. So, as we know, the transportation sector play a significant role in carbon emission. By shifting toward the carbonized energy solution, can not only mitigate the climate impact but also create a long-term sustainable change. So we are honored to have two highly knowledgeable and experienced speaker with us today, Mr. Ahmad Zulfadli and Ms. Ida Mulyani. To begin with today's forum, we begin with our presenter, Mr. Ahmad Zulfadli and Ms. Ida Mulyani will each take the stage to deliver their presentation. They will share expertise and insight on the carbonization energy in transportation sector within the KSN Minamasata region. Its presentation will provide towards understanding the challenge, opportunity, and current progress in vital area. Once the both presentation have, we will open the floor for a Q&A session. During this time, you are invited to ask the question, share your thoughts, clarification on anything discussed during the presentation. Our goal to foster open the dialogues and exchange of ideas will contribute to deeper understanding of the subject matter. So, Mr. Zul and Ms. Ida, the stage is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, everyone. Let me introduce ourselves. We are group 5, consisting of myself, Idani, and my colleague, Mas Ahmad Zulfadli. On this occasion, we will present our project entitled Decarbonization of Energy in the Transportation Sector of the KSN Maminasata. Okay, the outline for this presentation, the one is introduction, number 2, policy and regulation, number 3, scenario, and then framework model, and then energy demand and emission analysis, and the last conclusion. Okay, we know the update data from IESR. The transportation sector in Indonesia is one of the major contributors to carbon emission, accounting for more than 27% of total national emission. In the Maminasata region, this include Makassar City and the Regency of Maros, Goa, and the Takalar is experiencing rapid urbanization, increasing vehicle ownership, and a strong dependence on fossil fuels. The region is based on the Perpres number 55 in 2011, which is also served as blueprint on its development. More than 90% of transportation model still rely on petroleum-based fuel, leading to high carbon emission and severe air pollution. Lack of integrated transportation system highly dependent on private mobility, while also the vast area making high usage of fuel consumption, making the topic of decarbonization is important for the region. And then energy demand continues to rise, while water resources and urban land availability are becoming increasingly limited. Therefore, a system-based renewable energy approach is required to develop a low-carbon transportation system in the region. A case study from Pakistan by Ahmad in 2025 demonstrate the importance of integrating the carbon nexus in sustainability transportation planning. But in this model, we won't make simulation up to the nexus, but only investigating any carbon in sustainable transportation planning. Okay, next.
Okay, thank you. For the next, I will explain about our reference. The main reviews in this project is journal based on Pakistan by Riza Ahmad and team. The study analyzed Pakistan transport sector. So they will use LEAP, a software for simulation and simulate four scenarios, which is a business as usual, transport energy consumption that surge from 24 to 146 metric ton energy. For emission also rising from 106 to 481 metric ton carbon equivalent. So the journal is showing us the pathways to significant reduction potential in Pakistan, which become our base and inspiration to take the case. Okay. Impressively, the paper shows us the result about how the mass transportation scenario actually reducing emission better than the EV solution or hydrogen and hybrid solution. So which we are gonna see in our presentation. Is there any shifting from that result? Because it was the same case, but different location for the study. Okay, next. Our research objective to aim to design and simulate low carbon transportation development scenario in Minnesota region by adapting from the same journal that we stated before. Okay, next.
Okay. In Indonesia, we have a policy and regulation at the national level. Number one is Perpres number 112 in 2022 on renewable energy development, and number three RPJPN ini impacting low carbon transport, and Indonesia's NDC to in 2022 targeting up to 43 GHG reduction by 20 and 30. At the regional level, policy should integrate the decarbonization agenda into RTRW and RATD. This is Sulawesi Province Perda number 4 in 2022. And then support the instrument include carbon and emission trading system. This is Perpres number 98 in 2021 on carbon economic value to attract green investment. In this project, we have four scenario. One is PAU, business as usual. Number two is total electric vehicle conversion. Number three is hybrid vehicle scenario, and the last integrated mass transportation. This is a table of scenario development. We have some type of transportation for scenario basic. For PAU scenario, the new current trends, and then EVS scenario focus on electric vehicle, or heavy HVS scenario gradual shift to hybrid and hydrogen, and then MTS scenario is expand mass transit system. Next on private cars, and private cars PAU scenario is 4% annual growth. Motorcycle 3% annual growth. For bus 2.5% annual growth, and for truck 3.5% annual growth. PRT system no expansion, and rail transit no development. And then EVS scenario for private cars is 30% electric by 20, 19% electric by 2040. And then for motorcycle, 5% electric by 2030 and 100% electric by 2040. And then for bus, EVS scenario is 50% electric by 2030 and 90% electric by 2040. And for truck, 50% electric by 2030 and 90% electric by 2040. And PRT system gradual electrification, rail transit is full electrification by 2040. For private cars in HVS scenario is 50% electric and 50% hydrogen by 2050. For motorcycle in HVS scenario is 100% electric by 2050. And for bus is 50% electric and 50% hydrogen by 2050. Some for truck and for PRT system, mixed electric hydrogen fleet and rail transit is hybrid conversion. The last MTS scenario for private car is 0.5% annual reduction to the mode shift. For motorcycle is stable with efficiency gains. For bus, 100 electric by 2050 and truck 100% electric by 2050. And the PRT system is expand 3 to 12 corridor, 3 to 12 corridor, and the last rail transit is 4 new RRT project.
Okay, next, we are moving to our LEAP model. So using 2022 as a base year with 2023 as our first simulation year, we create a key assumption which and the demand usage and electricity information for energy sources. So the simulation is run up to 2020. Oh, it's actually 2050. The key assumption is involve setting economic and social variable model, and the demand model can be modeled using LEAP to decouple top down or bottom up. In our case, we are using approach in bottom up. The transformation model is specifically used for power generation process. Okay, next. So this is the schedule for our model. So the demand structure for our KSN Minnesota transport model built with LEAP software. It's detailed bottom-up framework. This aggregates the transport sector to primary modes. There is a road, or street, and rail use. So the road mode is further categorized by there is mostly in private mobility. Also the differentiation between car and motorcycle, which also we are also differentiate but doesn't quite really shown in the graphic, but there are also in mass transportation sector or current mass transportation sector. For transformation model, which generate electricity for supplying the gas and Minnesota region, we have structure is based on key power plant technology, including hydro, wind, solar, coal, gas, and diesel. It was using the dispatcher rule based on LUPTL. This model calculates the total electricity supply and the resulting upstream emission for vehicle electrification. Okay, next. Okay, and the result we can see for the total energy demand by transportation. We can see that it was the region in East Indonesia where public transport is not that great. So private cars still in domination for the consumption. Well, we can see that from 20 it's grow from 15.2 to 51 metric of emission energy, indicating heavy reliance on personal vehicles. Also, the motorcycle is steady growth from 12.8 to 23, almost double in the cushion urban mobility. The buses maintain significant increase. It's quite good in business as usual, 8.5 to 70.8, and total energy consumption is actually tripled from 32 metric of energy to 106.1 in metric energy in 2050, revealing that it was actually unsustainable growth trajectory because we are consuming more and more energy. So the intervention is needed to shift from private vehicles to mass transit. I think from this chart we can agree with that, and to promote low emission vehicles next. So this is the data from our simulation. Okay, next.
Okay, this is a full use in scenario PAU for KSM Minasita transportation system. Full intensity determination in PAU. We can see gasoline dominated and grow rapidly from 18.5 to 55.2, showing continued oil dependency, and then diesel consumption increases steadily, and the natural gas saw limited adoption with moderate growth from 3.2 to 6.5 million ton, and then electricity remains minimal at only 2.4 million ton by 2050. This is indicated negligible electric vehicle transition in PAU. And then full mix remain unchanged with gasoline and diesel comprising over 85% of the energy consumption. And the last, high imported dependency and emission expected, impacting urgent need for fuel verification. Okay, this is the chart of energy transitioning determination along EVS, HVS, and MTS KSN Maminasata transportation system. For EVS scenario, electricity dominated full mix, growing for 0.8 million to 54.2 million tons. And then for HVS scenario, this verification with electricity reaching 25.1 million ton and hydrogen grow to 15.2 million ton by 2050, maintaining moderate gasoline diesel use during transition period. For MTS scenario, most efficient energy distributed with electricity at 16.8 million ton and hydrogen at 10.5 million in 2050. This is combined with low fossil fuel consumption among all scale. Total energy reduction, MTS achieve low total energy consumption. This is 32.0 million ton in 2050 compared to EVS scenario 56.8 million ton, and for HVS scenario 52.5 million ton, demonstrating efficiency of mass transit system. Full mix evolution also show progressive decline in gasoline and diesel, with EVS having most rapid pass out and EVS showing most gradual trending pathway. System efficiency is MTS achieve optimal balance between energy consumption reduction and comprehensive full transition, making it the most sustainable pathway for KSN Minnesota transportation decarbonization.
Okay, so in terms of emission, in our graphic, we can see that actually the business as usual, we continue to do what we do today, the KSN will have to produce more emission to the air while consumption of fuel is double. In terms of the current trend that were our government pushing EV scenario in their transportation solution, it actually can help in reduction of energy demand to 85.1 metric of energy while achieving 34 compared to BAU. But if we actually compare that scenario with hybrid scenario, where we combine hybrid technology, not only using like diesel with battery, but also hydrogen, it can deliver 39% energy savings, more than like percent more than EVs. And also in term, but if we are looking into the graphic again, the bottom line, there's the line in the below, the violet color line, which is mass transportation system, it was superior than other solution, where mass transportation is focused on achieve most significant reduction, about 58.5 MTOE by 2050, and cutting energy demand by 55%. So while EV is, yeah, it was green, EV was good, but actually it was not the better, this was not the best solution. The best solution in our model is actually by using MTS or mass transportation system scenario. So there's this divergence timeline. So the scenario pathways begin in 2030, where we can see there is an acceleration of efficiency gained by post 2040 as a new technology reach critical adoption. Some of our policy implication, the 70.3 metric of energy difference between BAU and mass transportation in 2050 highlights a substantial energy security benefits and cost saving achievable through strategic support transport planning. Okay. We will continue for the emission. We can see that the trajectory of CO2 emissions surged from 98.5 metric carbon equal to 323.2 MT, exceeding Indonesia commitment at representing 228 growth over the projection of period. So actually, Indonesia for the current condition wasn't really going to achieve their target by 2050. But I think the previous group already highlighted that in their presentation, and also that the solution is not the main, even though the best solution right now, even though it was the one that being pushed by the government, the hybrid solution actually performing better than EV solution, full EV solution. While in terms of climate leadership, the mass transportation actually champion the optimized that achieve a deepest cut in 82 metric ton of carbon equivalent. So in our graphic, the line of NDC target, from all the scenario, there are our 4 scenario in our model. The only one who achieved the target by 50 is the mass transportation, while the hybrid and EV is actually performing well at the start, but after post 2030, the as we say before in the previous slide, we can see that accelerating of in terms of technology of fuel usage, the mass transportation is actually the only one who consistently remains below 120 metric ton carbon equivalent threshold. So it will help Indonesia to meet their NDC target or national determined contribution target. So the carbon budget implication between BAU and mass transportation system is demonstrate a substantial climate mitigation potential through the integrated transport plan. So this was a clear call that the solution for urban development, for making like KSN KSN Maminas is actually a metropolitan area region that being developed for economic, for people to live in. It should have a good integrated planning, not just like pushing people to buy EV, not just by making the street more packed with cars, but with an integrated mass transportation that could serve the public and also helping to cut the fuel consumption and to reduce emission. Okay, next. So the table can see clearly the numerical value for the emission forecast and the reduction to compare with the business as usual. Okay, next.
Okay. The last conclusion for our presentation, the analysis revealed that the transportation sector in KSN Maminasata remains heavily dependent on fossil fuel, with a sharp increase in both energy consumption and carbon dioxide emission under the PAU scenario. Without intervention, energy demand could more than double, and emission could rise by over 228% by 2050. Three decarbonization scenario present distinct outcome in efficiency and emission reduction. EVS scenario achieve a 49% reduction in emission through grid electrification, and then EVS scenario offers 60% improvement by integrating electric and hydrogen technology, and MTS scenario deliver the most effective outcome, reducing energy demand by 35% emission and emission by 75%. Based on this finding, it can conclude that developing an integrated renewable energy based mass transportation system in the most effective strategy to achieve transport urbanization in the KSN Maminasata region. The success of this transition depends on consistent policy implementation, adequate infrastructure development, and strong public participation, ensuring the creation of an efficient, inclusive, and sustainable transportation ecosystem for the region.
Okay, I think that's all from our presentation was concluded here. We will return it back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much to our speakers for those insightful presentation. I'm sure many of you, just like me, is full of question and idea after hearing all the valuable information shared today. So now we like to open the floor for question. Please feel free if you have any question regarding the topic discussed today. Maybe you want to share your thoughts on the path forward. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and go to the front so you can directly question the speaker. Okay, please, Mr. Rais.
Okay, thank you for attention. I have one question. The question is, which scenario show the best the performance for reduction about energy consumption and emission in KSN Maminasata transportasi system? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rais. Another question? Oh, from Miss Nurfa, maybe. Please open your camera and you can question directly to the speaker. Hello, Miss Nurfa.
Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to ask, what is the main difference between HVS and MTS scenarios in terms of their approach to sustainable transport? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe the speaker can answer the question.
Okay, thank you for the question. I will try to answer the question from Mbak Nurfa. So as we know that in Indonesia, people can differentiate between hybrid car and also the EV. Also, more than the current hybrid car technology in Indonesia, it's actually not that exactly hybrid because it just adding more battery into the vehicle. While in other countries, there are technology being integrated to become a hybrid, like hydrogen, like the using of plug-in. So all those models can help into reducing fuel more effective, more than just charging a battery, using also the fuel being burned in the electric generator. So the substantial emission reduction occurs because electric vehicle in hybrid technologies are more efficient than just in electricity production by the system of the grid system in electricity. So the main limitation that actually it wasn't address the underlying growth, the total vehicle. So for both of them, the problem is still persists. Like we are showing in our first in our presentation that the number of private use vehicle in KSN Mamanesata is just way too much, and it should be decreased. So even though the both of them was a solution, they have the difference where the EVS actually just exchange all the fuel gasoline car with battery car, while hybrid is, even though it sometimes it still use burn fuel, but there's also combination with other technology and the better and more efficient engine, more efficient use of fuel. So I think that's how we can answer if you ask about the difference between EVS and hybrid, and also its effectivity in use. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmad Zulfadli, for the explanation. It's very clear.
Thank you, Mbak.
Okay, and then I will try to answer the question of Mas Rais. Mass transportation scenario is demonstrate the best overall performance for achieving sustainability goal in KSM Minahasa. This is superiority is clear when examining the 2050 result. We can see it reduces energy consumption, 55% reduction in PAU scenario, and Celsius carbon dioxide emission, 75% reduction from PAU scenario. No other scenario meets this dual achievement. The reason for its superior performance lies in fundamental approach. While the EVS and high HVS scenario primarily focus the vehicle technology. The MTS focus on changing the transportation system itself. It achieves efficiency at the system level by first shifting travel behavior, and to optimizing urban mobility, and last still incorporating clean vehicle technology. This safe improve strategy make the MTS most robust and effective pathway as it tackle and root cause high energy demand and emission car dependent urban sprawl rather than just the symptoms. Okay, thank you.
For additional from me about the mass transportation system is what we don't tell in our presentation about the cost, because our presentation is just making the simulation of energy use and emission, while the cost itself wasn't counted. Our underlying problem itself in the KSN Mamanesata, because the high urban sprawl currently occurring made that it was more complicated actually to build the mass transportation system. So in short, the answer for the question is clearly MTS from the data, from the number, but in terms of application, MTS is not that simply to be applied in this case. So that's how we will give our answer. How Mr. Wright?
Okay, thank you for the engaging the question and insightful discussion. It's clear that there are strong collective desire to contribute the conservation effort in our transportation sector, and your involvement today is testament to that. So as we come the end of the session, I like to leave you with a thought. The road to a sustainable future is not paved with easy answer, but with the action we choose to take today. Every step toward decarbonization is step toward cleaner, greener world for the future generation. The transportation sector, as we discussed today, hold immense potential for transformation, but it is up to us and each of everyone to be the catalyst of the change. We have the knowledge, the tool, and the power to make this vision real to the reality. The time is action is now. So take the insight from today's forum, let the inspire you out, not just talk, because the future of decarbonization begin with each of us. I wish you all strength, passion, and success in your journey toward sustainable future. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih.